we are going to study is the family Urticaceae. Now this family is called as a nettle family because this family is characterized by a very unique morphological feature, and that is presence of trichomes on the shoot part. Now these are trichomes, or we can call them as a stinging hairs. They are very unique in almost all the members of this family Urticaceae. Yes, there are some examples in which such a type of hairs are not present. Family Urticaceae, that way, it is a cosmopolitan family, generally found in almost all 5 continents. Today, we are having almost more than 42 genera and 600 species of Urticaceae. But very interestingly, more than 70% of this family is endemic to the subtropical and tropical zone. It is dominant in Central America. Also, it is dominant in southeast part of Asia and to some parts of Africa. So, even though this family is cosmopolitan, it is restricted to tropical and subtropical belt. In India, right from the Himalayan ranges to along with the seashore, this family is generally found in open terrain or in poorly developed soil. Generally, it is called as the laterite soil. Several members are found in India, particularly Maharashtra also. They are found in Konkan, they are found in Western Ghats, even they are found in plains. At present, almost 15 genera and 33 species they have been identified from India, which are dominant, and they are basically found in humid, dry, tropical, subtropical region. So they are dominant in the Konkan areas, they are dominant in the Western Ghats, they are dominant in sub-Himalayan ranges, as well as they are found even in Gangetic plains. Some of the important genera which are present in India, I just mentioned them few. These are Phoenix, Pilia, Obesia, Rausolia. The most common one which is found in Western Ghats and which is present along with us and which is present even along the roadside of the villages is Urtica. मराठीमध्ये आपण खाज कुजलीचं झाड म्हणतो, की ज्याला हात लावल्यानंतर आपल्या अंगाला खाज सुटते. Another genus is Urera, again a small herbaceous form. As far as the habit is concerned, these plants are herbs, but basically they are shrubs. They are perennial ones. Very few they are lianas or sometimes trees. But shrubby form with a herbaceous stem and a robust attitude, a robust approach, a robust nature is a characteristic feature of the Urticaceae. This particular family is identified by 2 characters. One is presence of latissiferous ducts on the stem. Remember, these latissiferous ducts, they do not contain a milky latex, but they contain a watery juice, which is very similar to the family Apocynaceae. Because you know well, in Calotrophaceae, the milky latex is present, whereas in Apocynaceae, the watery juice is present. In Urticaceae, the latissiferous ducts are present, but these ducts, they contain a watery juice. That way, Urticaceae members can be called as a succulent plants. because obviously they are growing in the tropical and subtropical belt. But one more characteristic feature is in the outgrowths of this plant. And these are nothing but these are stinging trichomes which are present on the surface of the shoot. Especially they are much more denser, heavier on the leaf surface, especially on the upper leaf lamina as well as in lower leaf lamina. But they are also present on the petioles and younger shoot parts and many others. So the stinging trichomes is one of the very important characteristic feature of this family. Obviously the leaves are simple. They are generally palmately lobed or heart-shaped, lanceolate, broadly lanceolate. They are obviously petiolate. Generally the stipules are absent. The leaves are alternate. Sometimes the leaves are sub-opposite. Leaves are sub-opposite to each other. Then the margins of the leaf lamina, they are denticulate or dentate or serrate. That is, they are wavy. As per the stinging hairs are concerned, these are also called the urticating hairs, because this is a unique feature of this family. It's a glandular hair, and this glandular hair, it discharges the gallic acid. Also, it discharges the alkaloids, and also it discharges some organic compounds which are rich in histamine protein. So because of this histamine protein, it is giving a itching experience. When you touch it, you will get the irritations on your body, on your skin. And because of that, this family is highly restricted for handling. The stem is quadrangular, it is herbaceous, green, and also it is hirsute, means it is having the hairs on the surface. Now this is the plant Urtica dioica. That is, male and female flowers are separate. You can see the inflorescence, and also in the figure you can see the small trichomes which are present on the leaf lamina, on the petiole, as well as on the main axis. Now this is a close-up of Eureka. Again, you can see the both male and female flowers, they are separate and borne separately, and it's a typical spike inflorescence. Now here in this picture you can see the white colored stinging hairs. Now these hairs are present on the leaves, as well as these hairs are also seen very predominantly on the petiole as well as on the central growing stem. Now this is a close-up which has been taken with a wider angle. As per the characteristic features are concerned of this urticaceae, obviously we know that the flowers are unisexual, the flowers are petiate, they are incomplete, the flowers are tetramerous in multiples of 4. Obviously the ovary is inferior, epigamous. The flowers are minute, they are actinomorphic, regular. At the same time, these flowers, they are generally fleshy, and they are borne on a fleshy, elongated, rectangular receptacle. Now, there is one more interesting character, that the plants are either monoecious or dioecious. But many of the times, even the plants, they may be diomonoecious. That is, within the same plant, we will find some flowers which are male, some flowers which are female, and some flowers which are born together as a male and female. And that's why this polygomonoecious condition is a unique condition which is found in Urticaceae family. As far as distribution of flowers on the stem is concerned, or plants is concerned, many of the times the flowers can be borne separately or solitary in the axil, or what we can call as a node, but generally the flowers are borne In a cymose inflorescence, it may be axillary spike or axillary catkin. And because of that, you will find that it is having a typical inflorescence, because of which earlier many taxonomists placed this order in the group Amentiferae. It has got the two lateral bracts which are sepaloid, green, which are fleshy. Now, as far as the male and female flowers are concerned, both are separate. The male flower contains a perianth. There is absence of calyx and corolla. The perianth lobes, generally they are 4 in number. Sometimes the range may be 3 to 5, but usually they are 4 in number. And the perianth is always present in the form of a scale. It's not large, it's very small. Again, it is sepaloid, green in color. It is persistent. That is very important. The perianth is persistent. It is free or conate at the base. It may be obviously following the valvulate or imbricate estivation. In most of the cases, in male flowers, the perianth, either it is present in the scaly form and rudimentary, or even it may be absent totally. In male flowers, the stamens are present which are opposite to tepals. So if the stamens are depending upon the number of perianth, if the 4 perianth are there, the stamens will be 4. If 3 perianth lobes are there, the stamens will be 3. And they are opposite to perianth lobes. Now they are generally inflexed in the bundle. Inflexed means they are rolled, coiled. They are inflexed in bundle and then they open up. The anthers are introsed, when they are opening inside towards the center, and they are dorsifixed. Obviously, the anthers are very thick and fleshy. They are sepaloid. In Urticaceae, there is no any progress of reduction in male flowers is concerned. All the stamens, whatever their number is there, either it may be 3 or 4 or 5, all the stamens, they are fertile. And the anthers are diathecous. Obviously, it is opening by vertical slit. Now, very interestingly, in male flowers, there is a presence of vestigial gynoecium. That is, sterile ovary is present at the base. So all the characters are present. Style is present, stigma is present. Even though gynoecium is present, but that gynoecium does not contain the ovule. And that's why it's called the sterile gynoecium. This is a very unique character which is generally not found in other unisexual flowers. But this is a representation where the Urticaceae family shows a progressive evolution through reduction, where a bisexual flower is slowly getting specialized into unisexual flower. And because of that, in male flowers, we will find the presence of vestigial ovary, and in female flowers, again we will find the presence or occurrence of the staminodes. So that's why this Urticaceae shows a progressive evolution towards simplicity from complexity. So some of the members of Urticaceae, they are having the flowers which are bisexual by nature, but truly either they are male or female. So the functional component is only one. And that's why this is a very important family from phylogenetic significance of point of view. Now, as far as the female flower is concerned, obviously the female flower is very small, minute. It is inconspicuous, and in this case there is a perianth of bracts, the pair of bracts are present, but the perianth is totally absent. Here there is a presence of sterile staminodes, again which are perianth opposing, but they do not contain the anther lobes. Only filaments are present without any anther lobes, and that's why they are called as sterile staminodes. The ovary in this case, it is the most simplest form of ovary as per the Amentiferae is concerned. In urticacea, the ovary is monocarpellary single, that is monocarpellary single ovary. It is always inferior and it is embedded in the fleshy receptacle. So receptacle is large, enlarged, it is fleshy and it is encircling, it is covering the entire ovary. So by appearance the ovary is inferior, but from cytological point of view, from morphological point of view, the ovary is superior. Because if you see the attachment of the ovary to the receptacle, you will find that the ovary is, from developmental point of view, it is superior in position. But from morphological point of view, you will find that as the ovary is, or the carpel is embedded in the fleshy receptacle, it gives an appearance of the inferior ovary. Obviously, it is unilocular, a single locule is present. And the single locule, it contains a single arthrotropous ovule, that is state ovule, based with the basal placenta. So it's a very basic phenomenon of a female flower. Obviously, the style is very single, straight, it is thread-like. The stigma is either globose or inconspicuous. Very interestingly, because of the fleshiness, the fruit which is formed, it is generally a fleshy drupe. So it is having the wall and fleshy mesocarp is present. That's why the fruit is a drupe, just like mango. But as the many members, they are growing in the tropical belt, dry area, sometimes the fruit becomes dry and it becomes a nut or it becomes an achene. आपण मिऱ्या बघितल्या असतील, वाळल्यानंतर मिरी कशी घट्ट तयार होते दगडासारखी, किंवा सुपारी कशी दगडासारखी तयार होते. That's why the fruit, either it is a drupe or it is a dry achene or a nut. Obviously, it contains a very large single seed at the center, and the exocarp, the outer wall, is always membranous in nature. So seeds, they are non-endospermic, or sometimes the endosperm may be present, but it is in the form of a remnant, rudimentary. And because of that, there is again a tendency of the evolution from endospermic seed to non-endospermic seed in urticacea. Because in some cases the endosperm is present, but the endosperm is partly utilized, partly digested, and half of the endosperm is present at the maturity of the seed, or otherwise the seeds are completely non-endospermic. Another character of this urticacea is that the seeds are oily, and because of that, urticacea members, they are medicinally important. Basically, they are used for cure the colon diseases. So it is used as a vermicide. So the seed oil which is present, it is used along with the hot water to remove the ascaris group of worms from the stomach or intestine, you can see, or colon tract. Obviously, as the ovule is arthrotropous, the embryo of urticacea is also very straight. Now, what is the difference of urticacea and Moraceae? Because last time we have studied the family Moraceae, and before that we have studied again the family Casuarinaceae. In all these three members, in Casuarinaceae the ovary was bicarpellary, in Moraceae the ovary was bicarpellary, but in urticacea the ovary is monocarpellary. In Casuarinaceae the ovary was showing a progressive evolution through reduction, and ultimately the ovary was becoming monocarpellary with a single ovule at the center. But there was a presence of secondary rudimentary ovule. In Moraceae again, the ovule was, the ovary was bi or tricarpellary. But again at the end, it was containing a single ovule. But in urticacea, the ovary is monocarpellary. It contains only a single carpel containing a single ovule in a unilocular basal position. That's why, as far as the urticacea is concerned, urticaceae is much more primitive from phylogenetic point of view than the Casuarinaceae and Moraceae. Similar type of structures, they are even seen in case of floral parts, because in this urticaceae only the bracts are present and almost the perianth may be scaly or it is totally absent. So urticaceae is rather more primitive as compared to these three characters, these families. But from phylogenetic point of view, urticaceae shows a progressive advanced evolution than the other two. Because in urticaceae, the simplicity which is acquired at the end, this is because of the progressive evolution which is taking place. And that's why the urticaceae is very important. Now this is sort of a practical sketch which has been made. On one side you can see the stinging nettle, that is a urtica. Then just there is a section of the female flower at the bottom where you can see a single carpel containing a single orthotropous ovule with a single style. Then you can see the male flower at the top side, which is showing the two pair of bracts, and then it is showing the rudimentary perianth lobes, and along with the perianth lobes we can find the tepal opposed anther lobes. Now they are fleshy, you can see the structure, and similarly just below that central male flower character there is a diagram of the fruit. So this is sort of a variation. You can see the two floral diagrams also which have been drawn. Exactly at the center of the image you can see the floral diagram of the male flower where it is having the bracts, four persistent perianth lobes which are free. At the center you can see four free stamens and a vestigial ovary at the center. Whereas in the top right hand corner you can have the floral diagram of a female flower which is showing a quincuntial estivation. Means the two perianth lobes they are totally out, two perianth lobes they are totally in, and one is overlapping but which is not present here. And then at the center you can see the ovary which is having a single ovule with a basal placenta. So this is the floral diagram of Urtica. Likewise, this is another genus which is found around us, which is again indicating the hairs on almost all shoot parts and also the inflorescence. You can see the inflorescence, which is a typical axillary spike where the flowers are sessile but they are borne in a branched manner. So it is a compound inflorescence, and at the base even you can see the 5 tepals and 5 stamens, whereas in the right hand corner you can see the ovary which is containing a single ovule, a single ovary containing a single ovule at the center. So this is just an idea how the male and female flowers they are born separately. If I draw a previous slide, you can see a sort of inflorescence on one side, and here you can see the male and female flowers they are intermixed together. The male and female flowers they are intermixed, and that's why this situation is called as a polygamo-monoecious condition. Polygamo-monoecious condition. So here also in this figure you can see there are certain female flowers at the center, and at the same time they are surrounded by the male flowers. So the male flowers are slightly white in color, and the female flowers they are again having the large pair of bracts in which they are containing the carpel. Similar type of figure you can see here. where a large number of male flowers are seen now at the center, whereas you can see the female flowers which are quite green in color at the center. So this is also a sort of a polygamomonoecious condition where the flowers which are unisexual, male and female flowers are separate, but they are born in an axil, and the axils are present in the spike inflorescence. That's why this typical inflorescence is called the catkin inflorescence. Now, as far as the Urticus is concerned, and if at all we want to discuss the interrelationship of this family is a well advanced family showing a high degree of evolution, which is showing simplicity through reduction. And that's why it is showing the simple characters, floral characters, but at the same time it is highly advanced in its pollination and dispersal. Also, it is having a highly advanced defense mechanism system because it is having the stinging hairs which are containing the histamine proteins, as well as it is containing the gallic acid. And because of the gallic acid, there is an itching effect on the skin. And that's why the plant is having its own well-defined defense mechanism and against browsing from the cattle. And that's why this family is well advanced family. As I told you before, this family was included in the Amentiferae group by the Eichler, and the same was followed by the Engler and Prantl later on. And so Urticaceae was once upon a time, it was treated as one of the most primitive family among the dicots and angiosperms. But slowly, with the research which undertook in 20th century, it was realized that the Amentiferae group, particularly the group Draphnens, this is indicating the simplicity because of the progressive evolution and not because of the primitiveness. And because of that, almost all the members of the Amentiferae now, they are treated equally as an advanced family. Obviously by the Bessay, by Randall, by Bentham and Hooker, by Hutchinson and many others. They are treated this family as an advanced family, and it has been placed somewhere with the order Renales. Somewhere they are placed near the order Roselles, where the ovary is inferior, Family Rosaceae. Now Cronquist placed this in Hamamelidae. Now Hamamelidae is again one of the order which is indicating the primitive Rhenalian group, because Hamamelidae is very closely associated with the Astrophagaceae group, Magnoliaceae group or Magnolidae group, and Rhenales group. So these are almost 11 orders are present in the Rhenales, which are indicating a progressive degree of primitiveness of the dicots. And because of that, Cronquist, because of these polygamo conditions, and because of the simplicity of the flowers, he has placed this family close to Hamamelidae in the order Rhenales. However, his particular approach was not accepted later on, and further the Smith and Takhtajan and many others, they placed this Urticaceae in the group Rhenales, in the group Roselles. In the recent classification, APG, Advanced Polygamy group, a polyphyletic group, it is placed in the core angiosperm. So his identification has been perfect now, and it has been placed in the suborder Roselles. So suborder Roselles is one of the advanced orders of dicots where the ovary is inferior. Almost all the Papilionaceae members, all Acifloraceae members, all the Apocynaceae members, all they are placed together in the superorder Roselles of the APG. And because of that, it is highly advanced specialized family. It is showing the advanced chemical profile which has co-evolved along with the animals and cattle. And it contains alkaloids, terpenes, flavones. It also contains the polyacetate, which is giving a stinging, irritating effect along with the gallic acid. And from this point of view, the family Urticaceae is one of the important family of not only the Eichlerian school or Amentiferi school, but it is also equally important of Reinelian school. And so Urticaceae that way is a unique family which has been included in our syllabus. So this is about the family Urticaceae. I have provided you already the pamphlets, details of this Urticaceae. We have discussed this family. Now, if at all there are any issues, if you want to have some clarifications, now you can ask me the clarifications in the chat box, and we can discuss this in the chat box. There were two questions last time. I don't know the name of the girl who has asked. The first question was, it was related with the vestured pits. So I found out that the vestured pits are nothing but it is a specific character which has been identified in the secondary xylem of Myrtles. So it is nothing but it is a deposition. It is a deposition of lignin and hemicellulose, which is ultimately giving rise to the formation of bordered pitted thickening. So this is a wall formation, and this wall formation has been given a specific name, vestured pits. I requested Patil ma'am, I have downloaded one research paper related with this, and it has been circulated to you. Now this vestured pits is a characteristic or diagnostic character of the group Myrtles. Obviously it is of a Calyciflora, the same group I was discussing, and that is a super order Rosales. So this is one of the characters where bordered pitted thickening, it shows analogy with the morphological characters which are present in the secondary xylem of the Myrtles group. For example, the family Myrtaceae, the family Passifloraceae, and many other families, they are showing this character. So this was a question which was asked by a student, and the second question was asked and it was the switch tree. Actually, I do knew that this is a typical, not a non-botanical term which is used. Generally, switch tree is the one, or switch plant is a term which is used, which is having a bushy upright habit. खरं तर थोडंसं मराठीत नेमकं सांगतो मी, तुमच्या लक्षात येऊ शकेल. टुंड्रा प्रदेशामध्ये म्हणजे युरोपियन भागामध्ये जी गवत वाढतं त्याचा स्टेम जो असतो, त्याचा स्टॉक जो असतो हा जमिनीपासून काही इंच वरती येतो, आणि या स्टॉकला चारी बाजूनी अशा फांद्या फुटतात आणि ते सरळ वर वाढतात. म्हणजे आपल्याकडे सांगायचं टिपिकल उदाहरण म्हणजे आपल्याकडचं रानामध्ये वाढणारी सरळ वाढणारी बाभळ याची सरळ स्ट्रेट वाढते उंच. तर अशा प्रकारचा जो आकार असतो त्या आकाराला स्विच प्लांट म्हणतात. कारण ज्या पाश्चर्स भागामध्ये किंवा त्या युरोपियन कंट्रीजमध्ये ज्या ठिकाणी पाश्चर्स म्हणजे असे गवताळ प्रदेश आहेत, तर त्या ठिकाणी ह्या मेंढ्या किंवा त्यांची जी कल्प आहेत त्या कल्पना अडवण्यासाठी जी काही कुंपण करतात त्या कुंपणाला लावण्यासाठी हे प्लांट वापरले जातात. तो या पद्धतीची रचना वापरली जाते कारण ते उभं असतं, दाट असतं, त्यामध्ये तोडून जर अजून उभं केलं तर त्याचा आपोआप एक पडदा तयार होतो. आणि दॅट्स वाय त्याचा वापर त्या पडद्यासाठी केला जातो. म्हणून दॅट्स वाय दिस टिपिकल टर्म हॅज कम अँड दॅट इज कॉल्ड द स्विच प्लांट. तर मागच्या जो प्रश्न विचारला स्विच प्लांट म्हणजे काय, मी तुम्हाला मुद्दा विचारलं होतं की तुम्ही कोणत्या नेमक्या संदर्भामध्ये हा शब्द वापरलाय ते मला सांगा, म्हणजे मला नेमका अचूकपणे त्याचा रेफरन्स देता येऊ शकेल. इव्हन आपल्याकडे देखील स्विच प्लांट म्हणजे तुम्ही बघितलं असेल तर धनगराच्या ज्या वस्त्या असतात, पाड्या असतात, त्या ठिकाणी हे लोक आपल्या जमिनीवरती वाढणारं जे काँग्रेस गवत आहे किंवा आपल्याकडे वाढणारा जर उन्हाळी आहे किंवा आपल्याकडे वाढणारी तरवड आहे, ह्या त्या खेडूतांच्या बायका काय करतात की हे तरवड किंवा ते उन्हाळी काढतात आणि त्याचे बुंदे एकत्र बांधून झाडूसारखा वापर करतात आणि त्या झाडून लोटतात, त्या लेंड्या लोटतात, जमीन लोटतात, जमीन साफ करतात. म्हणजे हे थोडक्यात त्याचा केरसुडीसारखा किंवा झाडूसारखा वापर करतात. सो सच अ टाइप ऑफ प्लांट्स विच आर हॅव्हिंग अ ब्रांच इन लीफी हॅबिटॅट दॅट इज कॉल्ड द स्विच ट्री ऑर स्विच प्लांट. तेव्हा जनरली आपण अशा प्रकारे जे नॉन बॉटनिकल टर्म्स आहेत त्या शक्यतो फारशा आपण राईटअप करत असताना वापरू नका, कारण आता आपण पीजीला शिकतो आहोत. You are supposed to use the proper botanical terms when we are discussing any morphological details when we are dealing with the taxonomy. This was a sort of a clarification which was there pending on my side. तर आता फॅमिली आपण उलटी कशी पाहिलेली आहे. तर मला असं वाटतं की अजून कोणाला काही मी आता मी चॅट बॉक्स ओपन करतोय. इफ इट ऑल देअर आर सम क्वेरीज वन कॅन आस्क. इथं तरी काय मला क्वेरी दिसत नाही आता कोणाची. बरं, मी जे काय बोललो ऐकायला आलं का सर्वांना?
येस सर.
कॅन यू फॉलो? सगळ्यांना समजलं?
येस सर.
येस सर.
तशी फॅमिली महत्वाची आहे, छोटी आहे पण इंटरेस्टिंग आहे. जर काही क्वेश्चन्स नसतील, क्वेरी नसतील तर सगळ्यांनी आपला अटेंडन्स नोंदवा. अँड वी विल स्टॉप टुडे विथ द फॅमिली उर्टी केसी. विल बी सपोज टू डिस्कस अगेन. मॅडम पुढचं माझं लेक्चर कधी आहे? मंगळवारी का सोमवारी आहे? पाटील मॅडम
येस सर.
माझं पुढचं लेक्चर कधी आहे? मंगळवारी. आपण मंगळवारी घेतो ना?
येस सर.
ठीक आहे. तर मग आपण मंगळवारी आपलं पुढचं लेक्चर घेऊया. मला असं वाटतं की ऑलमोस्ट माझ्या निम्म्या फॅमिली संपलेल्या आहेत. या सगळ्या फॅमिली पुन्हा एकदा वाचा.
येस सर.
दुसरी गोष्ट अशी की माझ्या या फॅमिली मी जे शिकवल्या याचं मटेरियल तुमच्यापर्यंत पोहोचलं का सर्वांच्या पर्यंत?
येस सर.
बरं, जे मटेरियल पोहोचलेलं आहे ते वाचताय का तुम्ही?
हो सर.
तुम्हाला सगळं समजतं का त्यातलं? का काय अडचण येते?
समजतंय सर.
ओके, काय हरकत नाही. ठीक आहे. मग जर इथं काही कोणाची अडचण असेल, शंका नसेल तर आपण विल स्टॉप नाव अँड विल डिस्कस ऑन ट्यूजडे. आता मला वाटतं ट्यूजडेला 15 तारीख आहे. 15 तारखेला आपण भेटूया आणि आपली पुढची फॅमिली आपण कव्हर करूया.
ओके सर.
पुढची फॅमिली असेल आपली कुठले शिकलो आपण बरं बाबा? कॅज्युअलिटी झाली, मोरिसी झाली, पुरकी केसेस झाली, अमेंटिफेर ग्रुप आहे ना. अमेंटिफेर ग्रुप मधली आपल्याला महत्वाची म्हणजे ओके विल गो फॉर द फॅमिली पायपरेसी.
येस सर.
which is again a herbaceous closely related member with the ranunculus group. So we'll be discussing the family Piperaceae. ठीक आहे पाटील मॅडम, त्याप्रमाणे नियोजन करा.
येस सर. ओके.
ओके,
थँक्यू सर.
सर्वांना शुभेच्छा. विश ऑल द बेस्ट. काळजी घ्या, सांभाळून राहा. आणि सगळ्यात महत्वाचं म्हणजे ओके नुसते थँक्यू म्हणू नका. माझं लेक्चर समजतं का ते महत्वाचं आहे.
हो सर, समजतं.
ओके, चला. Thank you. Bye.